And welcome to another episode of the Game Informer Show, the hottest show ever. I've said it
in the world.
True. I'm your host, Ben Reeves, joined today by Alex Stadnick.
Hello, friends. You ready for some sweet gaming news? We got it here for you.
Boy, are we. I think you are too, right, Matt Miller?
I am so ready to talk about games.
And Jeff Cork, how are you feeling about games?
I'm feeling scorching hot.
So hot.
You're
So
looking
hot.
scorching hot, Jeff.
Yeah, as I said before, I didn't take a shower, and that's what happened. So
I think that might be your secret.
the day after not taking a shower, but then tomorrow it will be bangs. I will have bangs if I do not take a shower
You
again.
look like a man who, if I met you on the street, I wouldn't know if you're just the friendliest guy ever, or if you were about to just kick my butt.
That's what I want.
Either one of those things.
I want to give off that kind of energy because I'm shy.
You ever ridden a motorcycle, Jeff?
Yeah, I grew up riding motorcycles.
Oh, well, there you go.
Huh.
You look so tough coming off a motorcycle.
I actually did too.
Yeah.
I drove a motorcycle all through high school.
Wow.
Yeah, Miller, you don't look like you rode a motorcycle.
No, I know that.
I rode a motorcycle when I was like
Jeff's
10.
got me beat in that department.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad used to race motorcycles, so
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
yeah. Grew up with
Would you have to
motorcycles.
put your tape your beard down, or would it fly up into your eyes if you rode one today?
No, what would happen is it would split right in the middle and it would be pulled back in a really awful way. Like if you've watched any videos with guys with beards riding motorcycles, it's what would happen to me.
I want you to do one of those dwarven beard braiding things, man. Can you do that for me?
I do
Yes.
that. I do that occasionally, and it looks pretty grim. It isn't like I think the fantasy is a lot better because when the concept artist is drawing a braided beard, they're not taking into account that beard is unreasonably lush and it's also 4 feet long.
Yeah.
To accomplish that. So
Could you do a chin pigtail?
I do that, and it just makes it look like my head is the size of a beach ball with 2 little prongs at the bottom. It's very unflattering. But
This is the best in gaming news
this
right
is
now, guys.
That's perfect.
hot.
Well, speaking of beards,
Jeff Cork's beard.
did you guys see the beards in the Avengers game?
Oh,
There
good
are a couple
segue.
beards in there.
They have
right?
they have a couple beards. I'm not a fan of Thor's beard in that personally, but that's not my only problem with the game. We're going to discuss that here in a minute, and then later on in the show, we actually have Scott Amos and Lauren Ash. We're part of the development team to talk about us. We haven't done that interview yet. We haven't recorded it, so assuming that it goes through, it should be an interesting interview because we have a lot of thoughts on that game. And I think some of mine are positive, but I don't know. What about you guys? You guys have been playing it, right?
I like the Marvel movies. That's my positive thought.
I played a lot of the Avengers beta. We had some early access ahead of this this kind of public beta access that's just kind of beginning to roll out here this week. And so I pretty much played through all the available content, all the missions, and I leveled up several characters. I wrote a pretty extensive article for the site that was highlighting just that I think the game has some pretty big problems right now. I don't think it's irredeemable. I don't think it's completely lacking in the potential for fun, if only because it's a multiplayer cooperative game that lets you play as some fun characters, right? Like pretty much everybody likes Iron Man and Hulk and Black Widow and Miss Marvel. These are great comic book characters. It's fun to get together with your friends and beat up some bad guys. But the game has big problems for a release in 2020 for a game that's been hyped as much as this one has, and there's been such a build up for. I think there's problems in storytelling, there's problems in level design, there's problems in the combat. There's problems in most of the areas that I would expect to see an action game shine, and it just doesn't totally come together for me.
Sure. Yeah, I know we were talking a little bit before the show. Maybe that pulls the curtain back a little bit too much for people listening, but we do talk outside of the show.
No.
We were
Close it.
Oh, no. This is the first time we've talked since last week. And we were talking about just in the comics and the movies, there's this acceptable notion that Captain America and Hulk are not really at equivalent power levels, and that's fine. They both have strengths and weaknesses, and Cap's awesome, right? But he's not as strong as the Hulk, and the Hulk is just a rampaging machine. And that works really well in a story, but it doesn't really work as well in a game, because in the game you want everything to be balanced. And I think in the effort of balancing out all the characters so they kind of perform equally, and they all have, you know, a ranged attack, they all have some kind of like ability to clamber up or fly or something, it feels a little unnatural to me. Is that kind of the genesis of some of the problems you guys have been having?
I think it's one of the big places that the game ran into problems, right? I think that might be the root cause of what led it to feeling now like kind of a generic action game. I likened it without exaggeration, really, to some of the late 2000s comic book movie games. People may remember games like Iron Man and Thor, and they were fine, kind of mid-tier games that didn't really stand out and never really had a lot of canned animations, had a lot of very straightforward approaches to combat. And here you kind of have that, except there's cooperative multiplayer, which is nice, but it doesn't feel like it's taken a lot of strides past that. And in the interim, in the last decade plus, we've had games like God of War, right? Which was just this like immaculate, great melee combat experience, or in the comic book sphere, something like Spider-Man, right?
Mhm.
Which was really tight and fast and fun and catered to that particular character's unique strengths, right? I think you can even go back to older games. I think one of the games that a few of us have talked about around when we talked about the Avengers is Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, which was an old game. I don't know how many people are going to remember that one, but it was a great game at the time because it really focused on like what was unique about the Incredible Hulk, right? It had these big desert spaces that you were jumping across, and you were leaping miles in just crossing miles in a minute of game time. And here they can't do that because Black Widow doesn't do that. That's not what makes her cool, right? Likewise, Iron Man's cool because he flies all over the place. But if you give Miss Marvel an interesting little space inside where she can use her elastic arms to swing across an indoor base area, then Iron Man flying doesn't really uh, turn into anything awesome, right? Because he's up down in this confined space. And so I think that problem has spread out to the rest of the game and made everything have to be sort of a compromise.
Yeah.
I agree. And there's also that sense that I couldn't shake, where like they've been very forthcoming about from the beginning. This is a game that is going to be getting a lot of post-launch support. It's a game as a service. There's going to be a lot of ways to engage with it in the long term. It seems like I couldn't shake that feeling that that's what I was playing, is like the first step of a very long tail game. Just you could tell that like the acquisition of power is going to be, in my opinion, frustratingly slow, and because they want you to engage with it over a long period of time, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in the meantime, like the hours that I played, as I'm just fighting these generic robot enemies that are basically going toe to toe with some of the most well-known heroes, that's like you start off. I know they want you to feel like you're eventually going to be more powerful, but I suspect you're never going to feel powerful in this game, because it's always end game is just one step beyond where you are, because they want people to continue playing for a long period of time.
I also worry because they've taken a model that's found a lot of success in recent years. Games like Division and Destiny, and with less success, games like Anthem. And they've applied that sort of games as service living game mentality here, clearly, in their approach to equipment acquisition and playing together with your friends and that kind of thing. But I didn't see any indication of the things that you were collecting being exciting, right? I,
No.
I when I think about those other games, there's always this thing that I'm chasing of like, oh, I want to have the gun um that shoots 3 explosive rounds that all explode in midair, right? And because this isn't a shooter, it's really more of like an action brawler in most moments. I don't know where they're going to find that. Now, to be fair, this was the beta, and it's obviously not going to show us the coolest equipment that the game has. But I just don't know where you'd find that for a character like Hulk, right? I mean, what is he going to have that I'm chasing that makes it exciting to play as Hulk.
Well, it'll be like a plus 14% chance to stagger versus plus 12%.
Which doesn't really change my play style in a particularly fundamental way. I mean, maybe it lets me focus on like powers that I really like using. And you know, and with some characters, I think there's certainly options for like focusing in on ranged combat versus melee. Ranged combat doesn't feel that good right now, so I don't know why you would do that. So I just worry where they're going with it. But I do think that there are games that that have launched that in this kind of games as service era that don't launch super strong, and then they work really hard and they shape it into something cool. So I'm willing to give it that that hope.
Yeah. I think a fundamental level is it just feels archaic in a lot of ways, and it may be like they're taking inspiration from the way things are presented in comics. I'm certainly not as familiar with that universe, but it is a game where if you don't know what this is like, go into a big room and there are computers the size of a refrigerator with banks of glowing lights, and you have to stand in front of one of them and hold down a button, and then a few enemies come out, you beat them up, and then you have to go to another refrigerator-sized computer. It's just one of those kind of games. And like there's things you can hit that will explode, but it feels like there's a delay between the action of punching them and then the reaction of them exploding. It just feels it's not an engaging, doesn't feel right. Something just feels like you're playing a game that's being streamed remotely too.
Yeah.
Just like there's not a sense of immediacy to the combat. And like when you're the Hulk in particular, you're running around this lab punching refrigerator-sized computers, and it's just so completely underwhelming. I think it unfavorably, I compared it with like Lego Marvel Superheroes, which I think is a better game in almost all regards. I feel like it is very simple, but I think like at its heart, the combat is as satisfying, if not more. The personalities of the characters comes through more. These feel just completely like blank ciphers that just, this guy kind of looks like the Hulk.
Do you think, is that a sound design issue? Like, is it just doesn't pack that right punch, or is it like a feeling? Like,
it's a feeling. Yeah, it's really difficult to pin down. It just does not feel right.
And it's weird that they started with Hulk too, because like Hulk is this hulking bruiser, right? He's a giant guy, and it's just weird to be dodging attacks with him, I feel like. Whereas I switched over to Black Widow later on, and I was maybe having a little bit more fun with her because it felt more natural to be dodging attacks and trying to attack. But I think you're still right, Cork. Like even with her, like something about the combat like didn't feel as impactful as I wanted.
I was playing as Miss Marvel too, and there's a section where you have to jump over this gap and to kind of grapple across. And even that just feels weird. It feels like an off-brand Spider-Man where just she's latching onto some unseen point that's just kind of flinging you across. Let's just get you over there. It doesn't matter how well it's presented. You know, just there's just a weird sensation of good enough throughout the game.
Yeah, I think one of the things. I mean, you asked about sound design, Alex. I think one of the things that struck me in this game is that there were a bunch of places that things just didn't gel quite right. I mean, and it comes together into giving that sense that Jeff described, where something's like this just doesn't feel like it has the sense of immediacy and engagement that you'd want in an action game. Some of it is in the sound design, some of it's in the like little things like the quips that the characters say, and there's too few of them and they're on repeat, and so they just start to grate, right? It's in the level design itself, which is often very, very flat and non-crafted, right? Like we've become used to, and we're spoiled for this, to be fair. But in recent years, there have been a lot of games that have just created these gorgeous environments that feel like characters in their own right, and that is not a concept I would apply to the Avengers environments. These felt very, admittedly, were only some of the environments in the game. It's just a beta, but they felt very much like corridor, room, corridor, room. Or if it was the big forest area, it was like, just put some trees over there, and there's some trees there, and there's a bunker here. It doesn't really matter. Go fight some stuff. And that adds up. And even the art design, I found. I'll tell you something. A weird experience I had in this game, which is that like the play space that felt where I felt like I was most engaged in the fighting was the all white environment background of like the holographic room that you fight in. And the reason for that is that I could better read the action on screen. There were so many icons flashing up to tell me to dodge or block, or there's missiles coming in, or there's an area effect thing that's going to happen here. That in the normal environments, my character and the enemies I was fighting all seemed to kind of bleed into the backgrounds a little bit. So even though it was very uninteresting to be in the kind of all white, like a danger room kind of thing, it's called the harm room, I think. Like, even though that is this all white room, at least there I could read the action better, and I could see where my enemies were and what they were doing a little bit more clearly, because the characters fail to pop off of the screen and feel like they're really doing what they need to be doing. To I don't know, appear to me. It's a hard thing to explain, but it's something that was a big problem in video games some years ago, and that I think smart art direction and animation and things like that in more recent games have helped us move away from. And this game doesn't seem to have it.
You had mentioned Destiny, which is interesting, because I do remember at launch Destiny also had its fair share of problems.
No doubt.
Although I think the one thing that Destiny did well when it launched is the moment-to-moment gameplay was already pretty solid. Like that gunplay felt good. And that is something that I'm worried about with Avengers, is the moment-to-moment gameplay, as we've talked about, doesn't quite feel right. And so I don't think you sort of need that to push through and keep playing the game, because I think they could continue to work on that in this game, and then maybe they would, after launch, maybe it could go somewhere really cool and they could do some really fun stuff with it. I'm still hopeful for this game. I still want this game to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little worried that, a month before launch that we played this beta and it's not quite what we want. I'm a little bit worried about this game at launch at this point. So
absolutely. I think the fact, like, you nailed it, is like that moment to moment gameplay is what a game is all about in a lot of ways. Like a game, especially built on what is presumably going to be the loop is going to be you grinding an area, hoping that a rare item drops. And I didn't want to go through these areas once because I just found the act of participating in these battles was not enjoyable, right? Even if it's something like The Division, where you're just like, oh, this particular level isn't that interesting visually. It isn't breaking new ground. It's kind of played out. I don't think I need to go to the sewers again. But the act of like fighting is still fun. And I did not have a good time beating up robots with this Avengers game. It just was not fun.
I mean, I said at the beginning that there are things that I like about the game, and that make me still want to play it at launch, and that is specifically what is inherent to the game's existence, right? Like, I like Avengers and Marvel comic books. I like living games that let me endlessly level up characters, and I like cooperative multiplayer. I like being able to go in with my friends and just be like, hey, let's go play some of Destiny, or let's go play some Division, and just like, it's not something that's you can cater your level of engagement, right? If you just want to kind of like barely be paying attention and you really want to just chat with your friends, there are cooperative multiplayer games that do that. And here you get the addition of it being like Marvel comic book characters. But I don't think in 2020 that's enough, right? No. Like, there's so many games that offer that. That I think Avengers needs to be able to offer something in addition that really makes it stand out. And I couldn't find that in my hours of playing the beta.
Yeah. And kind of leading to that, and I apologize in advance if I'm stepping on your toes here, Reeves, talking about the thing not being enough. If you are not playing this on PlayStation 4, it seems like you're getting ripped off in some way, because like the inability to play as Spider-Man, who is arguably one of the most popular characters in Marvel Comics, that being a PlayStation 4 exclusive, is, I understand why it happened, and console exclusivity is, that's a thing that happens. Yeah. But that one in particular seems like a real shot in the arm. Maybe not. I don't even know. Maybe a kick in the
butt.
Groin. There you go. Butt.
A thwip to the face. I don't even think you need to say arguably at this point. I think he's pretty much the most popular Marvel character, right? But yeah, so there's that, and then they announced some other stuff, some challenge room stuff that is also exclusive to PlayStation earlier this week. So it is crazy. I'm curious to see if like Xbox retaliates and they got a character of their own. Like, rejoice, maggot fans! We got him. Like, I don't know what they would get, but
that's a deep cut there, man.
Yeah, no,
the 90s X-Men.
Yeah. They'll just trot out Batman when they buy WB. It's fine. Man, for as scorching of a show as we promised, I feel nothing but cold and empty inside now.
Oh,
makes me sad.
This is red hot, baby.
Makes me
yeah,
sad.
so I think hopefully we're not too down on the game, but we do want to set some realistic expectations if you haven't played it. Like, these are our impressions. We're still hopeful for the game, I think. I speak universally. I'd like a good Avengers game. I wish Crystal Dynamics well. I'm sure they have some work ahead of them, and I hope they pull it off. I want to see this game succeed. I think at launch it'll probably be a little bit rocky, but maybe they're able to continue to improve. We'll see. So stay tuned for the review. We'll have that later.
Yeah, I know I'll be playing it later.
Yeah, great. I mean, I'm still planning on playing it just for no other reason than I'm a broken human being that has to absorb Marvel content because that's what I am.
That's just what you are.
As I wear my Batman shirt. Perfect. But anyway, Miller, perfect segue. I know you're kind of in a hurry. You had to do some other stuff, so we'll invite somebody else in here to talk about their playlist. So Miller, get out of here.
Well, thanks for having me, everybody.
No, you go.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And welcome, Daniel Tack. How's it going?
Hey, it's good to be here, Ben. Great to be here. Love this show.
Do ya? All right.
Yeah.
That seemed like a sincere laugh if I've ever heard one.
What an intro.
I just wanted to say I'm just so happy to be back, all right? You know?
Well, I wanted to invite you on because you are reviewing a game that Alex is really excited to talk about. I know it's on his playlist, Fall Guys.
Yeah, buddy. Ultimate Knockout.
Tell me about this game.
It is just goofy fun, and I'm totally here for it in 2020. It is the battle royale that's sweeping Twitch nation. I think it's still one of the top games in its actual release. I know in the beta it was blown up, but if you like battle royale, if you like crazy mini games, like this is definitely the game for you. And
so it's a battle royale. Tell me all about the guns. What kind of combat were you looking at?
The MP5, the MP4.
How many houses do you hide in?
Yeah, I think I'm excited that we're getting to the point now where, because there's no guns. I know, shocking. But no houses. I like that we're starting to get to the point maybe where developers are starting to look at battle royales in different lights, and you know, they don't have to be military shooters or Fortnite clones, and that's where I think this excels, is that it is something different while also having those similar tropes. I don't know if it's going to have the legs of some of those, and the gentleman to my right can discuss that as well, but it just right now it's just kind of a breath of fresh air, and I haven't got to the point yet where I get frustrated with some of the other people, but just some of the mini games there, and there's definitely tiers of mini games that I enjoy more than the others. I'm still mastering the seesaw game type, but I'm really liking it so far, and it's just the perfect game for me to just log onto PlayStation, message a couple of my friends, and then just have a good night with.
Well, let's back up a little bit. Like, if you've never played Fall Guys or haven't seen it before, it is a battle royale, but it's also, you could call it maybe a platformer. You're running through a bunch of obstacle courses, right?
They call it a party royale, don't they?
I think
that's
so.
what it is.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with TV shows like MXC, Ninja Warrior,
Wipeout,
and the like, and Wipeout, it's similar in nature to those, with 60 players, with elimination cuts every round. So you don't have to win the whole thing to get more points. You just have to make it a few rounds in. You know, you'll participate in both solo and team play. If you are queued up with friends, you'll all be on the same team if you make it to the team activities. So that's kind of a cool bonus.
Yeah, that is nice. Nice. And Tack, you're loving it, right?
I like it a lot. There are some issues. The major issue being the variety, which I think if this is we don't really know how this is going to be as a game of service, as a living game, as a living product. We only know what's in front of us right now. And right now, the maps kind of get stale after a while. And by that, I mean like a day. I mean, you're going to play through them real quick. There's not that many of them. Some of the team games are just simply not fun by design. Some of the maps aren't fun, but a lot of them are, and it's certainly worth playing for. I am having a blast with the game, but I do see it like, the 100th time I get matched up for Seesaw. Although there is neat nuance to the game that you figure out after you've like mastered the maps. Like some of the maps can be mastered, like straight up like Seesaw and something like the gate crashes. You learn strategies. All right, there's really good ones, really easy ones. Like
What is Seesaw?
So Seesaw is one of the ones that really it's definitely the noob killer. All right, this thing it rewards patience like no other. Like you have to wait. If you don't, you're going to fall off. You have to go all the way back to the start, and you're going to lose. But so it's a balancing act. You have to wait basically till the horde is on one side propping it up, and you jump off the ledge. It's a bunch of seesaws, aptly named. And you have to go through that stage, and a lot of stages are like that, just sort of like running through an obstacle course. But there's different strategies. Like in DoorDash, for example, you have to go through doors. You don't know which doors are real, which ones are fake. So the person in front has to head check it. If you head check and you go through, great. If you head check and you don't, you're going to go behind by like 20 positions. So you don't want to be in front on that one. On Seesaw, you want to be in front so you don't have the gaggle of beans pushing your thing up and down, and you don't have like 10 different guys trying to grab you too. Like that's part of once you get comfortable and know all the maps, then you can start really messing with people a little bit, like grabbing them and trying to throw them around a little bit, messing them off their game. Very important. Not so much on Seesaw. Seesaw, everybody's worried about staying alive. Other maps, a lot of you can like sort of push and pull and grab people off. Depending on the scenario.
I love pushing and pulling, man. Do you guys have any favorite maps? Or
yeah,
like
some maps are way more fun than others. Like I like the I didn't think I was going to like the soccer, but I do as I've gotten used to it. I didn't like it, but the problem is it comes up like every time. It's like I know I'm playing fall ball today, so I better get good at it. Mastering like the jump and dive timing in order to get the physics of that, the wonky physics of the game to play ball with you, so to speak, is really cool. And starting to like learn how to do that. But it definitely, again, needs more maps, needs more variety. I will definitely agree with any of the people that say there's not enough variety, because there isn't. What's there is super fun, and there's like nuance to it. Again, like you can learn the tricks, the ins and outs of each map, and like little things to give you a subtle edge, and those help a lot. But ultimately, you're going to be in that final circle, which is going to be about 10 people, depending on the situation. And there's only like a couple maps that can be. Either you got to be the last guy with the tail, the last guy standing on like the falling Jenga platform, or of course the most popular one. Well, not the most popular, but the heralded one because it has the crown at the end. The mountain climb, where it's just the first guy up to the top. If you ever get hit, you lose. Basically, it's that doesn't feel great. But I guess it is. That's the winner take all circle anyway. So whatever.
I think that's one of my things is like nothing about this game feels fair. There's a lot of stuff that's just like, whoa, I got knocked off by weird happenstance, or like my teammate was grabbing me for some stupid reason or whatever. Like there's a little bit of jank in this game, which actually makes it kind of fun in a weird way, but I think it's not a fair game.
I don't think it's supposed to be
getting in for.
Yeah, I don't think it's not supposed to be 100% skill based. There's definitely skills and knowledge that you acquire, especially after playing a map for the 20th time. You're going to know the ins and outs of like, all right, I can bounce this ball at that angle, or I know there's a spinning hammer above this that guy's running into. I know where he's going to land. Like that, you're just going to get that sort of like muscle memory eventually, and that does help. But yes, there is plenty of it. This is a party game. This isn't chess. This isn't a MOBA. This isn't like it's not supposed to be a perfect.
Nobody parties while they're playing MOBAs.
Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah. Well, and it's not
like the. Oh, go ahead,
I was just gonna say quick, and it's not Warzone. Like when I go to Warzone, I know I'm going into a skill based thing that I need to bring my A game for if I want to win. Whereas that's why I like Fall Guys so much. Is like I can just mess around and maybe get to the last round, maybe not, but like, and I'm a competitive person, so it's like those juices don't fire as much. So I'm like I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the goofy randomness of it.
Yeah,
but definitely. Skills and stuff do matter. Like I had the same. I was playing with the same group like last night for quite some time, and we started getting a lot of wins under the team belt. None for me, but man, did my friends rack up a bunch. Eventually, you can get good at it, but there's always going to be other elements too, which I think is good for a party game.
Yeah. These friends sound pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, they're great.
Maybe they should come work here.
Maybe some of them applied.
Oh, all right.
In fact, I think some of them did. Boom.
Yeah, a little weird segue, but yeah, we did announce earlier this week that Game Informer's hiring too. So if you're interested in applying for an associate editor, it's an entry-level position. Feel free to apply. That information's on the website. But yeah, back to Fall Guys.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't sound too negative on it.
Yeah, real quick, I showed it to to my youngest son, who's a big Roblox player, and he instantly bought it on Steam because he likes keyboard and mouse because he's a big weirdo. But like that's the thing is like the visual presentation is leagues above it, but it is at its heart like something you would see on Roblox. That's like the feeling that I got instantly after spending some time with it. It was like it is wonky and broken in some weird ways, like a Roblox game. It just has that feeling to it, which is kind of difficult to describe unless you are familiar with that bizarro platform.
And did your kid immediately delete Fortnite and say, "This is it. I'm all in on Fall Guys"?
No, but he did rage a bunch too, which was super fun to watch. And he's doing it right.
Is he one of those guys that sits right at the end, right before the finish line?
No, he's not. He does not like that either. Yeah. That's to say like there's that one stage in particular. I don't remember the name of it, but like there's like a sprint up this ramp and there's the finish line, and there's invariably some guy who just waits there and tries to grab people that run by, and that's ultimately my big problem with the game is just like I have to do a check. I'm like, I'm not playing this for work. Am I having fun? And I have to keep asking myself if I'm having fun, where it's like, is my enjoyment being ruined by someone who is going above and beyond what's necessary of the game, to succeed? And if the answer eventually is yes, then I just stop playing. I have a feeling I'm not going to be spending a lot of time with Fall Guys just because it's like, I'm very easily trolled in online games, and I got other stuff to do. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is one of those games too where we streamed it last week. Alex and Kim and Tack was there briefly, and I had trouble getting into a match. Like I know there were some server issues. So like after we were done with that, I immediately went online and left a nasty review.
Because that's the normal thing to do.
Yeah, because that's what you do, right? Did you guys hear about this? The review bombing?
Yeah.
And then it's messed up. Don't review bomb a game. But then it was kind of cool to see the community come back and they were like, no, we're going to positive bomb it.
I disagree with that. I hate that idea. I don't think reviews scores should be used as like a way to like show your love or whatever or dislike of just like the concept of a game when it's like I think being upset about it on launch when you were unable to get into a game is completely fair. Like so I wonder like review bombing if it's just like, oh, this guy tweeted something about muscle cars. He doesn't like him and I like muscle cars, so I'm going to review bomb the game. Whereas if it's like, yeah, I spent $20 on this Steam game and I'm unable to play and I haven't been able to get into a match for the last 2 hours. That's a completely reasonable position. And then to like be like a virtuous review bomber, I think it just turns into this weird tug of war where it's like, is anyone talking about the game at a certain point? Like, is it just like, oh, I think these things are cute looking and games are hard to make, so I'm giving it a 10.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you haven't even played it because nobody can play it.
I guess what I drew from that though was that it was just people being malicious more so than constructive with that and just being upset. But I didn't see all the feedback.
For me, it wasn't even review bombing as a definition. Review bombing sort of to me implies a coordinated effort from some, forum to be like, let's go get these guys and take down their game for X reason. A bunch of people mad that they can't play the game they bought. I don't think that's review bombing.
No, exactly.
Is it expected almost par for the course now that an online only game is not going to function if it's popular on day one? Yeah. I mean, I recognize that when I buy any game that's going to be like, all right, servers are up. Oh, no, they're not. No, they're down. It doesn't matter if it's, Diablo or whatever. I don't expect those first few days to be stable. Does that make my review less valid if I can't play the thing I bought? I don't think so. I don't think it's review bombing.
Like started to even it out, right? Like people are able to play.
Oh, yeah, last night there were still some issues when we were playing, but it was certainly playable. We had a couple of foibles, you could say, but definitely playable. We were in there having fun, getting those kudos coins to unlock adorable outfits for our beans.
I do want to unlock the hot dog suit. That's fun.
Hot dog suit, easy to get. Level 19. You can get that in a couple of days of play, probably.
Cool.
Probably. We're not there yet, but I expect to be there soon.
Well, that's Fall Guys, everybody. It's fun little game.
Fall Guys. It's fun.
It's free on PlayStation Plus. So if you have PlayStation Plus, you can download it right away. Otherwise, it's what, $20, I think?
$20 on Steam. Yep. PlayStation.
It's not super expensive. And your review is in the works, Tack?
Gosh. It's in the works. I need to play a couple more rounds, knock a few more golf balls around. There's no golf stage. It seems like a criminal thing, but we'll get there, I'm sure. So yeah, that's the thing. I say there's tons of not, one of the things I'm going to ding it on is definitely the variety in the review. but they do say more is coming. The review's not going to be based on that, obviously. But if this does become like an ongoing content party game, I think that would be really cool, really fascinating.
Sure. Well, you have anything else on your playlist, Dan?
Oh, the playlist. It's been a while since I've been on this. Well, I recently played through a Dark Souls like called Hellpoint. Yeah, it was
and it's worth playing.
no, it was highly forgettable.
All right, then
and
I don't want
I
any
wouldn't
more.
recommend it. Okay.
Don't play that game. What game should you play?
Oh, you know, another one I've been playing is Fae Tactics.
Okay.
So I
Is
wrote
this
about a
one worth
game
playing?
last year. Yes, depending. So I wrote about a game last year called Felseal Arbiter's Mark. Okay, that game was like really, really trying to like one-to-one Final Fantasy Tactics, right? So this game is not exactly a one-to-one Final Fantasy Tactics, but if you like Final Fantasy Tactics, you will like this game. It's pretty cool. It does a few things differently, like you get to camp and eat food, and instead of having job classes, you have to basically like select which Fae creatures you're going to use. You have to go out in the world and collect them. Not quite Pokemon style, but you know, it's in the same ballpark. So you can be like, oh, I want to make a cursed army, so I'm going to go fight some cursed creatures to like collect them, and then you can like use them yourself. But at the heart, very much a Final Fantasy Tactics like. You know, not perfect. Got a little rough around the edges, indie feel to it. But if you're craving that FFT feel, you will not be served wrong by this one.
Art looks kind of nice. I checked it out. I'm a big Final Fantasy Tactics fan, and I really want Square to just release it again so I can play it on a modern console or PC. But until they do, I guess I have to do with this kind of stuff.
I know. I can't wait till we get Final Fantasy Tactics Remake, right? Imagine them doing that.
Gosh,
Imagine.
it would be nice, honestly.
Wouldn't it? Yeah.
Because going back, it's hard. Like the screens are so small and just the visuals are so muddy. So it'd be nice to have a pretty looking version of that game for sure. Great. Well, thanks. And that's Fae Tactics. Maybe worth playing if you're really into it.
If you're into tactics games, I suggest you give it a look, and then you know make your own decision. But if you like FFT, you're in the right place.
Sure. And that right place is Game Informer Show, which is where you are right now. Jeff Cork.
Hi.
What do you got going on? What have you been playing?
Well,
Other than Fall Guys.
Well, yesterday the Fortnite update, the Joyride update came out, so I've been playing that with my kid and having a great time because that's added cars, which you can actually drive. Because you've been playing Fortnite since it first entered early access. You know, the cars have been around there, but they've just been a thing that you can break and get metal from them. But now you can drive them. They've had other four-wheel vehicles, but these are just straight up cars. And they run out of gas and they cause like 100 damage when you bonk into somebody, and they're kind of broken in a way, but we're having a lot of fun with it. And my favorite thing to do is like, because if someone is in a car and they see someone on foot, it is impossible to resist the urge to try to run the person down just because that's life. But what you do is if you have like a crash pad on you, you can throw it right in front of the car and it'll sail right over your head as it bounces away. And then they're fragile enough that you can take them out almost midair just because they've only got like 600 health or something like that. So yeah, having a good time with it. It's super fun.
That does sound fun.
That sounds
They
really
run
good.
out of gas, so you have to like go to the gas stations. They actually have a purpose now, or you can find gas cans and then you refuel them. It's kind of like a battlefield engineer type. You're filling it with gas by spraying it just on the side of the car. You know, like much the same way you bang on the side of your tank with a wrench to repair them in Battlefield. But
Do you
yeah.
see people like a block from a gas station trying to push their car down the street?
no, that would actually be fun. I think you could hit them, but it causes damage as they lurch forward. So ultimately, you would just end up with a blown up car if you were to do that. But
Can you use the cars to like dismantle people's forts that they build?
oh yeah, you can smash into in structures. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But
that sounds crazy that they haven't added cars before now.
It's shocking. Yeah, and it's especially strange like that they added them in this season, because this season the big gimmick was it's splashdown season, so the whole level like got flooded at the beginning, and they introduced like Aquaman as an unlockable skin and all this other stuff. So it's like we're flooding the area, we're letting you like fish for a shark and then get pulled along like you're on water skis. Let's add cars to this season too. It just seems like, all right, I'm appreciative of having cars, but you couldn't drive them until what are we, like 6 or 7 weeks into the season, and it's almost over. Yeah.
Are there boats?
Yeah, there have been like hover boats and everything like
Okay.
that for a while now. But
Is
That
this,
makes sense then.
do you feel like this kind of makes this more appealing to people who maybe aren't as into Fortnite like myself, or do you think this is going to break the meta in any sort of way?
it depends. I
Yeah.
think if you are behind the wheel and you're running someone over, the cars are very fun and awesome. If, on the other hand, you drop and you're unable to find anything other than bandages, you don't have a gun, and then you just hear a car coming closer and closer, it's broken and should be fixed immediately.
There you
I think
go.
in that way, it kind of reminds me of when the Star Wars season where they had lightsabers that were kind of hilariously broken and wonky in a weird way too. But yeah, that's just how that game works. So,
Cool.
and that concludes all the Fortnite talk because I know if this game makes people unreasonably mad for some reason, just the fact that it exists.
What console have you played on?
I play it on PlayStation 4.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, don't quit talking about it, Alex. People are getting mad.
Well, kind of wanted to stoke the flames a little bit. We promised some spice.
Alex, we'll have to play together sometime, okay?
Okay, cool. I'll boot up my Switch.
All right.
I hope you're not talking about Fortnite.
No! What?
Yeah, no.
Fall
No.
Guys.
Play together. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah. People love that game. So I read.
Oh, guys.
Well, I've been playing more Creaks. I talked about that game last week. The Creaks. It's a really fun game from Amanita Designs. Jeff Cork, have you heard of this game?
I think I heard you talk about it.
Yeah, it's a great like side-scrolling. It's a platformer / puzzle game. It's more puzzle than anything else. Somewhat reminiscent of Limbo, stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this, and I didn't understand it at all when you were done talking about it.
Well, great. Tune out for the next 2 minutes, please. No, it's great. It continued to be great. I finished it. It's only like a couple hours long, few hours long, maybe. And I had a really good time. It's a great palate cleanser. Game looks incredible. It's like cool, really nice, like pencil-y art style. Just look up some screens, and if that doesn't turn you on, then check your heart. You might be dying.
Whoa. All right, I'll check.
And then the only other game I was playing was The Messenger, which I know I'm super late to. And that game is really cool, sort of 8-bit Ninja Gaiden style action platformer. There's a twist halfway through the game that I'm aware of that I haven't hit yet. And I won't spoil it for anybody.
Oh.
I'm sorry. But yeah, that game's fun. It's on Game Pass now, which is why I'm checking it out.
Ooh.
And then
Love it.
Alex, you were your main thing was Fall Guys. Right?
I was out of town this weekend, so I was playing a little Switch. I was playing What the Golf still. Love it still. A lot of fun. I'm picking away at Pokemon Sword, just kind of leisurely going through it. I beat the DLC a couple weeks ago, so nothing crazy to report. Just having some fun, and I'm excited to. I'm still excited to play Avengers later this week. There's some other stuff that we got in the works that I'm very excited for. So stay tuned.
Great. Cool.
Well, now I'm curious.
Yes, you should be.
Well, that wraps up our playlist. So I'm sorry we can't talk about it, Dan.
What are
But
you gonna do?
we can talk to Scott Amos and Lauren Ash. So let's
that
go
sounds
see
good.
what they have to say. They're again the Avengers team. They're going to talk about. Hopefully, they're going to talk about the impression people have had on the game. So let's go see what they have to say. And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I am your host, Ben Reeves. Still. And Alex Stadnick, you're still hanging around. Can't get rid of you.
Nope.
Like a bad penny.
No matter how hard you try, my friend.
But we have two very special guests. We have the head of Crystal Dynamics, Scott Amos.
Hello there.
Sir.
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Living the dream. Nice setup behind you there.
Thank
And
you.
then, as well, game designer Lauren Ash. How's it going?
Hey, yeah, it's going. I don't have as good a setup as, Scott, but yeah, I'm doing my best, working from home.
You're making it work, as we all are.
Love it.
Yeah.
You guys have had a big week. Avengers, the beta recently came out. You guys are working on the game, obviously. So congrats on getting this thing moving closer and closer to launch.
Oh, thank you very
Feeling
much.
good so far?
Thank you.
Oh my God, we're so ecstatic. Like the things we've gotten to reveal just in the last week or so, right? Being able to show Hawkeye and then Spider-Man and now the beta and getting so much stuff out there that we've been living with for a while. It's thrilling to be able to get it out there and just say, look, here it comes. Let's get ready. Let's do it.
Yeah, the biggest surprise for us on the design floor is we were afraid there'd be too much stuff. And then we're reading all of the reviews and everyone's like, no, we need more. I can't wait to play. And so that's a great feedback to get from us.
Sure, yeah. Well, Avengers, it feels like just almost like a fool's errand, like kind of like a lot to bite off, I should say, just in terms of the amount of content you have to create for a game like that. Like
Yep.
so many different characters, and each character controls differently. How are you guys tackling such a monumental task?
With grace and aplomb. No, it's a matter of as a team. One of the things we had to do from the beginning, you guys have been on this journey with us for quite a while and saw we had to open a whole other studio, right? We had to add a Crystal Northwest studio to this. We've had our longtime partners of Nixie's 20 some years we worked with these guys. IDOS Montreal has been part of this. Even Square Enix Japan has been part of this. So we've had to assemble literally, and it's not just a pun, our own team of heroes to be able to make this team of heroes happen. And it's been a great experience for us to be able to say, wow, what can we do? How do we get all of these people together to say, hey, you guys can be experts in online and multiplayer, and we need experts like Vince Napoli, our combat director, to step in and say, oh, he can take over these heroes and make them brilliant with this team of folks around him. Getting Shauna Sky as our creative director to tell the story, and then bringing that amazing cast of actors and characters with him, like that to us has just been this incredible journey of saying, yeah, we love what we do at Crystal. We've done it for many years. But being able to say, this is bigger than what we were, this is transformative. This is something for us stepping up and saying, nope, there's a big prize out there that we're going after, and it's a matter of getting millions of fans all kinds of joy in this franchise.
Yeah, I couldn't have honestly said it better myself. It's funny because Crystal has such a unique and long history with making games. And I was actually hired on for the Avengers project. And so I have all of the people that have come behind me, right? I have all of these new hires and this entire new studio that we needed to train up. And it really has felt like everyone's had that unique, fresh perspective on what was going to make this game great. And we really have assembled. And the amount of Avengers puns I think I hear on a daily basis about it, just all coming together has been well, I love puns as a writer, so I'm happy. And I hope my team is happy too.
Yeah, sure. I'm curious how you guys settled on the roster. Like, there's so many Avengers. If you look back over the franchise's entire history, I think the Marvel movies have kind of cemented in some people's minds what the Avengers look like, but that character roster is just massive. How did you guys narrow down who was going to be in the game?
So there's some great moments in our history with that. Looking from the very beginning, something we like to tell people is if you go all the way back to the first announcement we had in January 2018, you guys might remember it was a 30-second video, high-end, just a gauntlet laying there in the mud, and the shield kind of with sparks sparking on it. There's this voice over that 30-second piece. That's Kamala Khan. From the beginning of this, the idea of we had picked some of those linchpins and say, wow, this is a story. To play an original Avengers story, we have to have some original pieces in there that haven't been maybe delved into as deeply or haven't had their blockbuster moments like Kamala, like MODOK. So getting those types of pieces in there for the storytelling, we said, but we have to have not only these fresh elements, but some familiar ones. And you start thinking of the Avengers, and just worldwide, there's a matter of asking people about, they recognize Cap's shield, they recognize Iron Man's suit of armor, they recognize Mjolnir and Thor. So there's these core elements that have to be there because these last 10 years have been brilliant for Marvel, certainly with bringing everybody through the MCU. But there's 80 years of that. Those movies are based on the source comics from decades ago. So we have to go back and pay that kind of true homage. And you've seen on our war tables how much we're fans of going in and saying, where did these things come from? How do we take those original pieces and then put our crystal lens on them for our version? So we had to have enough fresh to feel uniquely that we're telling a story that is unique to our world, but also have this very familiar, iconic heroes, these guys that people are like, oh, I recognize that. They're wearing their shirts. They have, costumes for Halloween that they may have been these characters at one point or another. So for us, we had to really blend that together. I think, Lauren, we talked about it. Was it, there's 10,000 heroes in Marvel's world, and there's a couple hundred of them at some point or another have always been part of the Avengers. So we've had to literally go through and say, we got to start with something a little bit fresh, significantly familiar, and then we've got years to go to add new stuff to that.
Yeah, I would just to add, I think it's been a great collaboration with Marvel, because if you look back at the comic books history, especially with the Avengers, right? The original MCU, the original MCU cast of the Avengers wasn't actually the original Avengers team. And so even from the inception, Marvel was incredibly open when we pitched the idea of Kamala Khan, because they were like, actually, yes, that's exactly where we're at. And being able to look at those heroes and reinvent them in unique ways for the Avengers team, it's not unprecedented for Marvel. Marvel was always right on board. And being able to share, right, that hope and that inspiration that Kamala Khan gives, that unique perspective to our story and to the combat, has been really, really exciting to work with.
Yeah, and you guys already mentioned MODOK is the villain.
Yes.
It's such like an interesting choice. He's so dopey looking, like, and I mean that
No,
as like somebody who likes
I
MODOK.
totally get what you're saying, Ben, because like so I'm on the systems team and I also work with our narrative, but I sit right behind or next to the boss team. So when they've been working on MODOK, like I just kind of look over my shoulder like, hey, what's going on? And they like shove me away. I roll on my chair. And now with work from home, I don't really get that. I can just like Slack message them and they don't have to show me anything. But thankfully, right? But you've seen MODOK, you've seen his cool, like all of his, well, not all of his cool moves, but you've seen some really great shots that kind of, hint at that type of combat style. So it's very exciting to introduce this new villain.
Because
how did you like end up with him, like as the guy, like because he's not like really the traditional villain, right? But you're like MODOK, he's our guy, a giant head.
We were on stream and we were like, there's no way like they put MODOK or someone in this game. Crazy.
Yes.
And then he appeared and I was like, oh my God, they actually did it. Yeah.
It starts at the core of everything that we do, something that we agree with and has a philosophy at Crystal that Lauren can speak to with her writer background as well. And what Marvel really has a kin spirit to us is, what's the story? What's the heart of this? Why would we do that? The beginning moment of the game, which you guys haven't really played it yet. I mean, there's the A-Day, you've seen the Golden Gate Bridge, but there's a little bit before that talks about what actually happens and sets this whole thing up. That moment when the Terrigen reactor explodes and the mist decimates San Francisco, that creates both pathways of Kamala becoming an Inhuman on her way to Ms. Marvel, and George Tarleton, who's the head of AIM, working with Tony on that technology, going off on his path to become the head of AIM as MODOK. So the Avengers created both the protagonist, that point of view character in Kamala, and also the antagonist of this guy who's now said superheroes are dangerous. This is ridiculous. We need to be using science to prevent, science to prevent these types of incidents from happening over superheroes. And so the Avengers are at the heart of creating both their amazing characters going to help reassemble them and that one who's absolutely out to get them and disbands them and outlaws them and is trying to stop them. So for us, once we had those kind of linchpins in place with Kamala and the Inhuman story, the idea of AIM taking advantage of that was a natural fit. You get this very simple friction that's very easy to understand of, I just got new superhero powers. I believe in the Avengers. I need a mentor to help me figure this out, but I'm also outlawed. And this guy is outlawing me. I don't trust that guy. He set up the Avengers. And so you have this creative friction that just forms from the beginning, but you can then follow those threads. So once we had that, it was like, yeah, it's the right choice to go after something new, not something that we just looked at so many. Oh my God, there's almost as many villains as there are heroes inside of Marvel's world. And saying, but who hasn't really gotten that day in the sun and has that ability to be an Avengers level threat where they can control technology with their minds, where they can actually steal with their adaptoids powers from Inhumans and from heroes and use them against their own selves. Like that's crazy. Like that's crazy powerful to us. So that was very much from the beginning, those linchpins that we build everything else around.
Yeah. Sure. And looking at those linchpins, right? How did we as the development team, right, and as a narrative team kind of find those linchpins? When you go back in all of Marvel's history, advanced idea mechanics, AIM, like not a lot of people, right, follow those threads, maybe in the Marvel universe, in the cinematic universe, I should say, but they follow them in the comic book threads. What can we do with that? And what can create not just a, like, say, localized threat for a small game or for like a linear story, but what actually could be multi-linear? What could be this huge, right, expanse of an Avengers level threat? And AIM fit perfectly into that, right? And then with AIM, then you get MODOK. And MODOK's just so cool. He has all of these unique powers. He's got this entire backstory that no one's really seen yet, right, on the Marvel side. And then being able to collaborate with Marvel and then make it new. And also, right, with the Inhumans, right, people are very fans of X-Men, they're fans of the Avengers, but then the Inhumans, right, side of Marvel's lore wasn't really tapped into yet. And so we were all about going, wow, there's a ton of these different elements. They're all so unique. How can we unify them in the Avengers story? How can we make this about the Avengers? And Marvel immediately latched onto that and was like, oh, here are the heroes that would fit really well into your story. Here are these other things, right? And then we pitched Kamala Khan to them and they were like, yeah, that's perfect. right? So that was just such a really cool back and forth. And now you get to finally, right, see that in the fruition at launch day, all right, and then all of that post-launch content for the other heroes, right, that we want to inject into this story and into this world.
Sure, yeah. And you guys have the beta recently just came out, and so a number of press outlets have gotten a chance to play it, and other people are going to have a chance to play it later this month, which is great. To be fair, though, like some of the response has been a little mixed. I'm curious what you guys have thought of like the responses you've seen, and like, do you think some of the criticism is fair so far?
I think we knew from the beginning, we knew from last year when we announced at E3 that people's expectations are off the charts of saying we want to have what we just saw at the a month before E3 last year, but as the game, like, well, we're not the game of the movie. In fact, we're explicitly looking at the comics and the deep history, and there's been a lot of trying to get people to understand, no, you need to look at us in a slightly different light of saying this is something that is adding to the overall fabric of Avengers and of Marvel, but it has a unique lens and a unique take on it. From the gameplay side, there is also, we've given you a taste, just a taste of everything that you get to do in the main game. We've had some tremendous response of, oh, I hope they have more hero missions. Like, of course, did you finish the campaign in the beta? No, you've got 3 missions that you got to get a glimpse of what it's like for this very crafted, very cinematic storytelling hero missions, just enough to get the kind of idea of like, well, I hope there's more of that. Like, yes, there's much more of that in the final game. And then on the Warzone side is actually, pardon me, and on the Warzone side is giving you again just a smattering of the different sizes and shapes of places you get to go play. And even on the heroes level cap and power cap, it's small, right? Out of the hero level 50 and power cap 150, you get to really get to hero level 15 and power cap 45. You don't even see 2 other panels of skills that you get to customize your heroes with. You don't even get to the rarest kinds of gear that actually do change how you play and how you outfit your team. And so for us, I will absolutely take criticism any day because we learn a lot faster by people criticizing us and saying, great, we didn't like this didn't feel right, this was too slow, or the aiming wasn't that. Awesome. The more we hear, the more we can react, because we have an entire team of folks doing nothing but every day saying, what new improvements can we make? What else can we add to it? And I think we've shown that even since E3 last year, we listened to our fans. And in fact, we responded very directly in certain things that, like, yeah, we know that's not quite right. We're working on it. Oh, by the way, how do you like this? How do you like? So that's the luxury we have of a game of this ambition, is that we have this great campaign with Kamala and the reassembled path that you to go through, very crafted, very explicitly what you'd expect from a Crystal. Then we have Avengers Initiative, which is this world that will start as this experience, starting right now with this beta and interacting with our community and saying, great, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what we can improve. But we're going to continue adding, growing, and improving it for years to come. And it's not just grind mechanics, the idea of new stories. Hawkeye comes with a new story that you can play all co-op. Future areas that we're going to unlock, new regions, new heroes. So I do think this is that starting, come with us on this journey from the beginning. The more you're playing, the more feedback we get, the better we'll make this as we go.
Yeah. I mean, the favorite thing for me about the criticism is it's looking at the areas of the game we already have teams and people dedicated to improving. We're already right there with you and we're already taking that feedback. So seeing the journey to get to that point where you start talking about the level of customization, the level of gear, like, oh, like you're already, right, sold into that 100-hour journey. And so it's been incredible to see the myriad of responses to it. And right, echoing Scott, knowing that we already have people dedicated for that right now, post-launch, right, and for years to come.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. You brought up gear, and I'm curious about the gear system because one of the complaints I saw is people feel like the gear system isn't super compelling, or it's kind of weird anyway for Avengers to have gear, but like conceptually, it's great. So I wonder if you guys can talk about like long-term in-game strategy. How will the gear like change up your play style? Will it have a big effect?
Yeah. So definitely there is something to be said for how, right, there is that dissonance between I'm an Avenger and superpowered. Why am I upgrading, right, these things on my wrists, right, or like a pin on my chest? But it comes back to that, right, conceptual like nature of the Avengers. It's not just we have this awesome way to play Hulk. Now it's you can make a melee defense Hulk. You can make just a defensive Hulk. You can make a heroic Hulk. And that all comes from, right, your investment in the gear. And I think that to your point about the different play styles, that gear and skills, right, absolutely are interwoven, and that some gear you get is only available for certain skills. A lot of the perks that we have coming later weren't in the beta. including right perks at launch, not just perks and different types of gear coming post launch. And so we really were tailored specifically to what everyone is saying, that core combat experience, the core fundamentals of what it means to be the best version of Hulk. Now at launch, what you'll get is 2 more skill pages with gear that will enhance those skills, and then the ability to change up your gear and skills as the mission demands, maybe as your team roster demands, playing with heroes or playing with heroes. Sorry, playing with your AI heroes or playing with real heroes like you.
You guys are the real heroes in my
You
house.
guys are the real heroes.
Wow.
Yeah. I really actually made that slip. I was like, you, Ben, you're the hero. But no, that's exactly, and that's because that was our message. That was our philosophy, is putting the player as the hero that they want to become, right? Even if they start as like their depiction of Hulk in their brain, they can build their Hulk out. So you're definitely going to see, right, more of that impact on that play style, not just at launch, but especially, right, in the following weeks and months to come.
And I think that's the fun thing about it. So if you look through the comic book history, tech has always been part of the Avengers world. I mean, looking at Iron Man, there's things he has built, custom suits he's built for other characters. Even he used suits against villains to try and entrap them. So there's this long history of what tech could do, what gear could do, how you could use it. What we've tried to do is, again, bring a unique perspective of, well, what kind of gear would actually work with a Hulk to enhance him, and what kind of ways? What kind of gear would you have with Iron Man upgrading his suits? People, they buy that. They're like, oh, I'm upgrading my suit. I kind of get that. What about Widow? Upgrading her guns, the different types of ammo she can use, the different powers she can have with her tonfas, the different types of area effect weapons that she might have. So for us, having gear is one more expression where you can engage with it as deeply as you want, and having that whole rarity chase where you can say, I'm doing something iconic with Black Widow. I'm following her path to this. What has she done for the last 5 years? And what does she have some personal thing against AIM? But getting to the end of that and saying, wow, she gets some cool gear that makes me even more powerful as I go down my path. I tell you, that addiction loop for us is amazing. When you get people really in there saying, oh, wow, I want to say just one more level, just one more power level. I can get one more thing. I can max out my set of Stark gear. I can max out my set of Pym gear. When you have Hulk with the right Pym particle melee gear and you see him wade into a bunch of enemies, and after a few punches, you just see things shrinking all around you, you will stop asking, like, why do they have gear? To, I want more of that. That is the secret sauce that starts letting me do things that I could never have done if I was just the hero in itself, as opposed to augmented with some really cool gear and some cool powers.
And on the nature of the cosmetics, right? I come from a long player. I love MMORPGs. I love solo RPGs, right? I love gearing up my heroes, and I love seeing all those changes. But from the cosmetics side of it, even in the comic books, right, we drew from inspiration, even to Hulk, from the different levels and threads and plot lines, right, where Bruce Banner is trying to cure himself, or the ways he's going about, augmenting himself as the Hulk to be more in control, right? Which we even got a little bit of a picture, right, in the latest the MCU movies. And so I think that knowing that, right, our concept art team and our gameplay teams were focused on capturing that Marvel spirit, and also knowing, right, that doing justice to those comic heroes, right, and bringing them to that level of fidelity in the video game world, that was also really important.
Yeah,
for sure.
So the other big talking point this week is obviously Spider-Man, which have you heard of this character, Mr. Man?
So,
Man
Mr.
Spider?
Mr. Man, as we call him. That's a formal title.
Man, Spider-Man.
I'm excited. Like, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, right? He's probably my favorite fictional character, period. I'm definitely going to be playing the PlayStation version just so I can play as him, which sounds great. Were you guys surprised at all by some of the fervor online? Xbox and PC players seem kind of upset that they're not getting a character of their own. Like, what would you say to them?
I would say to them that we plan to deliver so many new heroes, including recently announced ones like Hawkeye, a few that we've, I should say, hinted at elsewhere inside of some of our War Table content, so go back and look for Easter eggs. But all the new missions, environments, gear, across all those platforms, right? The idea, the months to follow a launch, you're going to have, at no additional cost, all kinds of stuff to play. You're going to have more stuff than you can handle. So we'll have more details about those plans kind of in the near future, but I really do think that in our world, it is say, what can we do per platform to always make the best game per platform? We really do look at that from a technology side, taking advantage of features. In this case, there's an opportunity that we had that was like, great, this is a hero that can be exclusively playable on PlayStation. it's a unique opportunity. We want to give that to the fans. So for us, it is looking at ways to say, how can we always make the best experience per platform, per players?
Alex, I know you had a question. I keep jumping in.
No, you're okay. I'm just excited for the Xbox Howard the Duck expansion now. But
wait, let me Adam, write that down.
Yeah.
Adam,
yeah. I guess kind of going back to what we were talking about with gear and how it will change because this is a games of service title. Is that going to be your primary way of addressing fan critique post launch, or will you guys be going like under the hood even more with some of these characters if, let's say, Hulk doesn't feel like the tank he needs to be, type of thing? Like, is gear going to be the primary way to do that, or are you guys willing to like go more foundational and tweak?
Oh my gosh. I mean, Lauren being the center of the global systems team has seen all of this. She has seen system within system within system. So the way we build it and the flexibility of it she can tap into is that we can go as deep as we need to. And even feedback we're getting right now from the beta, there are things already tuning that people will feel the difference when they come launch day. Like, oh my gosh, this is a different, how does this move? Or how does this react? Or the speed on this? Or the reaction time on something? Like, we can get to that level of updates because it literally is a dedicated team who's there every day tracking the metrics we get fed back to us, listening. We have an entire community management group who's just brilliant at being able to connect with fans, listen to them, and then feed that back to us as the dev team. But we're in it to win it. Like, this is us dedicated to say, what are the people loving? What are they hating? What do they need? And then Lauren and her team from a system have said, great, we have the tools that we can go, as you said, under the hood. Like, God, that just doesn't feel right. Or, this seemed like it was too slow. Or how can we tune that? We have the flexibility to do that and the desire to do that. I don't know, Lauren, if you want to add anything on that.
You know what? I think you said it great. I'll only give a huge shout out, right? Because I can't take all the credit. This is a team effort. And so I just have to give a shout out, right, to our metrics teams and our combat teams and our balance teams, right? Like all of our systems teams within, right, that global systems and like combat umbrella, they're really like, when you hired more developers, right, you hire also more quality assurance people. So we've had people playing this game, figuring out like, where does it break, but like, where can it be more fun, right? So listening to them and now being able to listen to you guys from this beta, like we're absolutely open to feedback and looking at ways, right, to improve not just, right, that post-launch experience, but the core experience, right, for all players. This is definitely a game built to last.
Yeah, I mean, adding a Hawkeye means we had to build in all the things that he can do, all the powers that he has, because all the content you get day one, you can go back with Hawkeye and play that with your core of fans and go back through the war zones and the Avengers initiative. So we had to make that flexible system and make sure that everybody can hang together. And so as we add new heroes, those are great opportunities for us to do things. Like I said, you've only seen one of 3 skill panels, so there's more already there. There's stuff even beyond that. Having a level cap always means there must be a way to raise that level cap someday. So there's that type of advancement for us looking forward in the future. Like, that's what I mean by years of roadmap ahead of us.
Sure. Yeah, I know we're almost out of time, but people are going to be mad if I don't ask about this. But how much inspiration did you guys draw from the 1991 arcade game Captain America and the Avengers? Is that like your touch point? Was that...
That was not our specific touch point by any means, but it was one of our touch points. And that's you walk us right back into our classic answer of literally when we first sat and talked about this, we talked about what makes a great video game, what makes it great anything. We're talking about, have to have this story at the narrative center of this thing. You have to have some kind of epic story with a human spirit. And they laughed at us. They're like, what really, why are you quoting us? I'm like, why not quoting? That's how we believe at Crystal you should make things. And they apparently have that same phrase on one of their slides internally of how they think about making games is epic storytelling with a human spirit. And we're like, and so when we connect as a team, then it comes to, let's look at all of that. Let's look at the classic arcade games. Let's look at things on other platforms. Let's look at movies and TV shows and animated series and graphic novels and all in all. When you go through it, we've seen some of the references, like Marvels was a series that Alex Ross had done and Busick, that we look at that. That's where we pulled our Phil Sheldon from and said the perspective that news reporter has on looking at the world. Are heroes really good for us, or are they reckless destroyers of our world? Like, that starts to influence our tastes. You look at some of our outfits, you see Joe Fixit, right? I mean, you see Hulk with his fedora and his striped suit. You can see where that directly comes from a comic, or Tales of Suspense going back to MODOK. So I would put it to the 80 years of history is just so much. Like, it doesn't sound like, well, it's just one sentence, but it's 80 years of, I don't even know how many comics there actually are in that collection, but that is what influenced everything that you're seeing these days, from the MCU to TV shows to our game, of being able to say, how do you take that, put that special lens on it, and then let players dive into it and live out their superhero fantasy.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the game, it seems like a big thing. I mean, the fact that anybody makes a video game that launches and works is a miracle. So I'm sure
Thank
what you
you.
guys are working on is just a massive undertaking. We're all rooting for you. I think
Definitely.
I'm excited to see where it goes, and I hope you guys pull it off.
I certainly appreciate that. I do believe it's the hardest in my career of having to launch since we're at home, right? We had to work in a very unique way with all these different people with the expectations on top of that. And I'm so goddamn proud of my team of how they've done this, how they actually managed to put so much together, make this thing that is so addictively fun. I was playing it at 4 this morning, like literally started one of our kind of, shall we say, deep into the game, high level content, and I just couldn't put it down. And so it's now 4:15 in the morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get at least 2 hours of sleep since we have some press today. But once you get into this, once you start seeing what I'm seeing as far as the latest improvements and changes, I am convinced people are going to be hooked.
And you think he's lying, but I'm the one that gets those emails at 3 a.m. Okay, from him.
I do send her emails.
Talking about
Sorry.
about what I need to improve. So that's definitely, this is true.
I didn't get enough rewards from that chest, Lauren. I'm telling you, it's just.
Look, I'm working on it, Scott.
All right.
Well, thanks for not falling asleep in our interview, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Dude, I'm jacked on coffee. I'm good.
And Lauren, thank you as well. Nice work being here. You guys have a lot to do, I'm sure. So I'll let you guys go back at it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's our pleasure. Thank you guys. And keep the feedback coming. It's every bit helps.
Yeah. And thanks for watching the Game Informer Show. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm still Ben Reeves, still joined by Alex Stadnick.
Hello, friends.
Dan Tack, Jeff Cork. How's it going?
Hello.
Do we have a new guest?
Hey, what's going on
here? Who's making an appearance?
No more guests.
No?
We're done.
No?
Well, the guest.
Anybody new here at all?
Oh, okay.
The guest and the star are the emails that we get in our inbox every day. Podcast@GameInformer.com. This is the stuff that you guys send us, and we read, and then we read on the show. Do you see how it works?
Legally obligated.
Yeah, that's right. Legally obligated. So if you're interested, send us your thoughts, questions, games, whatever. Podcast@GameInformer.com. And I'm going to start reading those now. So the first one we got is from Garrett. He says, Yo, guys. Hey, everybody say yo. What up, Garrett?
Yo.
I hope you guys are all well, safe, and unhungry, which I thought is very polite. Today, I was daydreaming about Yaris for the Xbox 360, and I kept thinking of another old game from the 360 generation, and I'm not sure if it even existed. I either played or dreamed it up. Can you guys help me figure out what it's called? These are the game features. It's directly after a natural disaster hits your city, or nukes or something, I don't know. It takes place in the city, at least during the demo level it does. You traverse up broken buildings and such. There's at least one part with a massive dust cloud that forces you into a building. Each encounter with NPCs was significant. You would have to make choices as to whether you would attack, talk, or like barter with them, which was apparently really cool. There's a focus on scarcity, surviving, and saving ammunition. There's very few bullets and arrows around. Pistols and bows are the main weapons. You could threaten someone and bluff them with an empty gun. This was super cool. Focuses on backpacks, maybe. It was a downloadable Xbox game, he thinks, and it was featured an unremarkable male protagonist. I think you could say that about a lot of games. And he thinks he read about it in Game Informer. Does this sound familiar at all?
I think it's I Am Alive.
I Am Alive.
I think it's I Am Alive. Ubisoft published it, yeah.
Wow. All right.
I think that's it.
I thought
slam dunk.
Yeah, I thought when you first started this, it was going to be one of those, because you're talking about the Yaris like Toyota game, right? At the start, I thought it was going to be like Sneaking or Doritos like Car Bash or whatever it was. So I was like, wait, that was not in any of those games. But I'm glad you picked up on it that quickly.
Yeah, that's cool. I was thinking maybe Fallout at first, but some of the stuff doesn't line up. No, I Am Alive. Gary,
I was thinking like, that sounded like Wasteland, but like, that's not so interesting stuff.
Yeah.
We should do an NGT on Yaris.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that's. I think that was like one of the early delisted from Xbox Live Arcade games too. So if you don't have it in your library, too bad.
SOL.
Yeah, the game is bad.
Yeah.
It's real bad.
I think it was an easy 100% though for the achievements, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of those tie-in games were. It was great.
Yeah,
it may have been. Yeah. Garrett, check it out. See if it's I Am Alive. And if it is, let us know. And if it's not, let us know. And if you have a game you want Jeff Cork to guess, write in podcast@gameoverformat.com. Jeff Cork knows every game ever made. That's the thing.
The secret is I'm going to say that it's I Am Alive no matter what. Because nobody played that to confirm or deny that that's what it was.
And you're right again.
Yeah.
Good choice.
This game sounds very diverse.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Zach from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He writes in, he says, "Hey, GI crew. Your friendly local wizard was brewing up some potions and they accidentally got mixed up with dark magic. Since they aren't good anymore, he's offering them to you for free. Would you drink any of these?" So here they are. You're just going to drink them all, Dantec?
Why not?
All right, you've
Why
signed
not?
up.
Let's
I'm
do
sorry,
it.
you can't back out now. For the rest of us, the first potion is esports level gaming prowess, but every time you sneeze, all your clothes fall off. You guys want this?
Kinda.
I kind of want it too. I don't think I sneeze that much.
Yeah, I was thinking back to when the last time I sneezed was, and it was college, I think. So.
And I
The
think
crazy times, man.
if I really, really held it in, I could probably make it to the bathroom or something before I sneezed.
Like lose a sock, maybe, like just a little tiny bit of a snort.
It starts popping. Yeah, what if you sneeze like 20 times
That's
in a
what
row?
I was gonna ask, because I am notorious for sneezing at least 2 or 3 times in a row when I do it. So does like my toes start popping off? Like what happens?
Layers of skin.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I'm sorry, but you can play Halo professionally, dude.
I think that's hard to pass up. I could buy.
I think I would do this.
Yeah, because then I could buy skin replacement treatments with my winnings. It'd be great.
Exactly.
That's what most esports professionals have to do anyway.
Exactly.
All right, second potion. You're able to levitate or float forwards, which eliminates the need to walk. I like that he included that part. But stairs are very difficult and take 5 minutes to climb each flight.
Wait, so like one floor takes 5 minutes?
Yeah, one flight of stairs takes 5 minutes for you, which is confusing. So is it like because you're trying to float? Or like, what if I chose to walk up the stairs? Apparently that's not an option.
It's a non-starter because I live in a house that has stairs.
Yeah, I feel like I walk up enough stairs that would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that potion sucks. Get out of here.
Get out of here, potion. Dantac, you already drank it though, so.
I mean, I already signed up for all of them, sight unseen, and so far I'm not completely unhappy.
I mean, you take the elevator up most of the time anyway, right?
Not in current situation, but under normal
you're gonna have
circumstances,
to.
yes. Well, I can levitate though, right? So
Well, the elevator is kind of like levitating anyway.
it's like science levitation.
That's right.
Man, now we're getting really deep. We get real deep here on the GI show.
I was thinking of the Wally people who are already in the levitating beds or whatever. I don't know if I'd like that. I think I'm going to keep my legs. I think I'm going to keep walking.
I think it'd be fun, honestly.
How fast could you go? Could you like be speedy and like go around, or are you like walking speed while you're levitating?
I think if you're levitating or floating, you're still pretty close to walking speed. It's not like you're super fast. It's not like flying. Flying is fast.
Yeah.
Levitating is just sort of hovering.
Kind of like Zenyatta from like Overwatch. Not super fast, but fast enough.
You're as fast as a balloon.
Okay.
Think about it like that.
That
all right.
Well-known standard measurement.
Yeah, I think Superman was faster than a speeding balloon.
All
right, third potion. You can snap your fingers and a little gremlin will fetch things for you, but there's a catch and a 5% chance that he will eat it instead.
Eat the thing he's fetching?
Excuse me, Mindy. Can you go grab my child, please?
These are like bad items from an RPG.
I think it's just like you'd be super choosy about what you have him grab. It's like, oh, I just want a soda. I'm not going to be super bummed if he eats it because then I can just have him go grab another one. But it's like, oh, I'd really want, can you get my cat? Because like, oh, they're a little risky on that one. Probably wouldn't have him do that.
You could say, go get like the PS5 for me, and he'd have to go get it, right? Go get like.
But then there's a 5% chance he would eat it, dude.
Yeah, but then you could ask him to go do it again.
Oh, well,
keeps eating them.
Okay, so he would fetch anything you want.
Wasn't that the rub? He could.
Well, I assumed he was fetching real things that you owned already.
Oh, I see.
Like, go give me this from the. Yeah. But yeah, if he can go fetch whatever he wants,
go get it like $1 million.
Hey, go give me another $10 bill.
I mean, couldn't you just do that like as much as you want? Just be like, give me $1 million. Like I ate it, and then you'd be like,
okay, we'll do it
again. We'll do it again.
I feel like we broke something here, but this seems too good to be true.
This is a known exploit.
Yeah, we found a workaround.
Mhm.
All right, final potion. You
Yeah.
can sleep for 4 hours and feel like you got 8, but you have
Eaten.
terrible nightmares. yeah, but you get eaten by this gnome. No, but you have terrible nightmares that you think about throughout the day.
Wow, I don't need a
I'm-
potion for that. I already do that.
Oh, Dan.
Do you really?
No.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit intimidated by the nightmares, but I really do like the idea of sleeping for only 4 hours a night.
But then, yeah, you get more time back. But then if you spend more time thinking about terrible things, I feel like that's a life that I wouldn't want to live. Dan, do you have bad
you think
nightmares?
about throughout the day, but like I don't think you're gonna like. It doesn't say that's only the only thing you think about. I don't know. I'm torn. I want to drink half of the potion. Maybe if I drink half, can I get like 6 hours of sleep
Ooh.
and then
I
only
can-
think about it occasionally?
Nightmare
really
every
bad.
other night.
Gaming the system here, hardcore.
That's what
That's
we
right.
do.
Finding,
We're
finding all
gamers.
the exploits. I know.
All
I'm gonna say no.
Well, all right. That was fun.
Mm-mm.
I like that
I
idea.
do like that game.
It was
Thanks,
cute.
Zach.
Yeah.
Send us more potion ideas, guys. I love that.
The either or stuff is fun.
Yeah. All right. Mike from Grafton, Massachusetts. He writes in. He says, "Hi, informers."
Massachusetts? I'm sorry.
That's the name of the state, right?
That sounds right.
He says, "Hi, informers. Longtime listener and reader here. First time emailer.
Yay.
The other day, I lost power on my PS4 because it was shutting down. I booted it up the next day and found out that my hard drive had been corrupted. I lost all my saves, including my unfinished playthroughs of games like Red Dead 2 and Neo 2. Which that's a huge bummer, dude. Sorry to hear about that. I hadn't backed anything up, and I felt a tremendous sense of loss. And I don't think any non-gamers would really understand. So my question is, what are your worst data loss stories, and how did you cope with that loss?"
I think I only have one that I know of, since a lot of the stuff I do is saved in the cloud these days. But there was a review game. It was a really tough game, and I was like 8 hours in, and it just bricked the save. And I was not happy about that, but there was no other alternative except to just play through it again. So I didn't have a choice.
Did you cry? It's okay. if you
No.
cried. I would have
I
cried.
did not cry, but I was like, there was a sigh. There was an exasperated sigh where it's just like, God, I have to do it all again.
Did you do this? Did you do that?
Yeah, it was like, I'm sure there's plenty of internet memes that can fit here. Okay. But yeah, it wasn't pleasant. It sucked, but 8 hours, probably not as much as like a Neo 2 save file, which is what you're talking like God, if he was like halfway through the game, probably like 30, 40 hour save file, depending.
Or Red Dead? Like, that game is massive. I think I would have just stopped playing the game at that point. I don't think I would start it up again. I did like lose a save on Grand Theft Auto 3, or it might have been Vice City, but I liked that game enough. I was like 10 hours in, I lost my save. I think I liked it enough, and I just have fun exploring that world that I just booted it up. Like, it didn't phase me too much because I was like, I just like goofing around in this world. And open world games were new enough where that was a novelty in and of itself. But yeah, I've been fortunate. I haven't lost a ton of saves.
We had, when we first started doing Extra Life, I think it was in the first one. I had at the time like a USB like flash drive that had all my Xbox 360 saves on it. This is before they had cloud saves, and somewhere between coming home from work, I lost it, and that had all my save games on it for the Xbox 360. It was a real bummer.
Ick.
Do you remember what the games were?
Just about all the games I'd played on the 360.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a real bummer.
Wow.
Yeah,
Tens
and then
of
one time,
games.
like, we had like a house party, and my kids were showing off Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga to one of their friends, and they deleted my 100% save of that, which was a real bummer too, because that
Oh,
took
bummer.
some time. Yeah, I spanked them so hard. That didn't happen.
I did have, I just thought of this. It's very emotional for me. I was robbed at one point and I lost my 360, and it had, I don't think I was like in the middle of anything super important, but it did have my Mass Effect save on there. And so when I went up to start Mass Effect 2, I didn't have that save. And so like that was kind of a huge bummer. It's like I couldn't carry forward that save.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then 3
Yeah,
did the
thanks.
same thing at the start, right? It wasn't carrying over people's saves or something like that. Am I making that
I
up?
did have a problem with that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. You have
So,
bad
like,
luck with Mass Effect.
Everybody loves that element of Mass Effect. It's like, oh, you carry over your saves. Like, I feel like I missed something because I had to fill in the questionnaires. Like, what did you do here? What did you do here? And it kind of got it, but it wasn't the same. That's why they need to really release that game, that trilogy, and I'll play through it again.
Okay.
Andy Mack, you're listening? You're listening this deep? Probably not.
Yeah.
Give us the Mass Effect remake. We know you're
Yeah.
listening. That's your
We
only job,
know.
right?
Yeah. I do kind of wonder if he's listening, actually. It's like, has he listened to a single episode that I've hosted?
Andy, blink twice. There you go.
I can't hear blinking.
There you go.
Great. Jefferson from California. He writes in. He says, I just finished my 100% playthrough of Skyrim VR. He says it's the best way to play Skyrim, despite what people say. With over 200 hours. And when I checked the Steam global achievements, I noticed that something surprising had happened. He said only 62% of people actually complete that first achievement in Skyrim. You guys believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe it too, actually. But it is kind of a crazy stat,
Yeah.
right?
Is that
62%
achievement
of people.
surviving that cart ride for the millionth time?
Waking up. Yeah.
I don't know
How
what
many
the first
times do you
achievement is.
take the cart ride before you select your character? Really? Come on, we've all done that cart ride.
Well, that means that almost 40% of people who own the game haven't played it enough to get that first achievement, which I don't think
Right.
is
Yeah.
super hard. But it is kind of crazy.
I don't find it that unbelievable because we're on Steam here, right? So like you pick up Steam sales, create these vacuums where game percentages get massively skewed because like I'll see a game for $1, I'll be like, well, you know what? I probably will never play that, but I might someday. So hey, for a
Right.
buck, games usually, why not? Throw it in the library, we got it to play, And it's there. I'm not getting any achievements on it, but it's there.
But that's the crazy thing is like they had to eventually start it and then decide within the first 2 minutes of it, nah, this isn't for me. I'm never coming back. Like that's my.
Oh, this is Skyrim. Dang it! Like, wait a second.
It's not
They got
compatible with
me.
my It's not even compatible with my VR unit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone. This is Skyrim VR. I thought I was getting the regular game.
Or maybe it was just. First time they turned their head. No.
That's exactly what it was.
He says that every time he boots up PlayStation, Xbox, or whatever, he likes to check the achievements and see what percentage people are at. And some of the ones that surprised me, he had a whole table that he sent in. It was way
Let's hear something.
too much time to put this together, I'm sure. But the one I mentioned already, Skyrim. But then he says on Civ 6, the first achievement, only 84% of people got, which actually isn't too bad.
What is
He
the
says-
achievement?
It's called If You Build It, They Will Come. You have to have 6 improvements at one time. Which
I can see a lot of people putting that game down before they get 6
Yeah,
improvements.
so
maybe.
that 84% is impressive.
84% is pretty well. That's specifically kind of to your point, Tack. Like that is a PC game, so it's not
Yeah.
like people would have played it on console previously and then been like, "Oh, it's on sale on PC.
Yeah.
I'll get it again." Like this is the first time people played it. PUBG is another one. The achievement is Blood on My Hands, which means that you kill a player. Like the first time you kill a player, you get this achievement. 70% of people have that one.
I
that
mean,
means-
I've played with a lot of people that I understand who've never gotten a kill. It's not an easy game.
It's 30% of people who own that game have never gotten a kill, which is kind of crazy to me. All right. Couple more. Stardew Valley, Greenhorn, you earn 15,000 gold. 62% of people have that one. Ark Survival Evolved, which is like you complete your first day, like that achievement. Only 44% of people who own the game have completed it.
I completely believe that.
Yeah.
Like if you're into that game, you're into that game. But I know a lot of people who have loaded that up and just been like, "Yeah, not for me," and that's it.
Wow. And then Beat Saber, the first achievement there, only 19% of people have ever gotten, which is crazy.
What is it?
It's called Drill. He says there's no description. So I don't know.
So again, to clarify, you would have had to have loaded these games up for this to count, right? This isn't just a game you bought and didn't touch. You have to load into it. Is that I'm trying to understand the rubric here.
I don't know. I don't know 100%. I think actually it's just percentage of people who own the game.
Okay, well then Yeah. All right.
Okay. Because on
Sure.
Xbox, I think, or on PlayStation, you have to actually put the game in to get that on
Right.
your achievement list or your trophy list. Which is why that Skyrim stat was crazy to me early on.
Yeah.
It's just a question I have. Like I'm sure no one here knows it. I'm actually curious now. To like to know if those latent games that are sitting in Steam libraries, not for the ones we just talked about since they were console, but like if I buy a game during a Steam sale, which I'm sure everyone has like 100 games that they purchased during a Steam sale and they have never touched. It's probably a very lowball number, honestly, for the PC gaming community. But like, do those count when we look at these percentages? It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question.
Gabe Newell, if you're listening, help us out. Let us know.
Gabe Newell has all the answers, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Podcast at GameInformer.com.
All right. Liam, the Epic Gamer, he writes in. He says, somewhat longtime listener, first time writing in. If you asked for video game dreams, so I'm willing to share my dreams with you. There's a trend in most video game dreams I have, and that is getting a Nintendo console. When I was around 8 or 9, I wanted a 3DS more than anything, and so I had a dream where I got one, and I played it nonstop. That's great, dude. It's what a great dream. I also have similar dreams where I got other Nintendo consoles. I'm sorry if this is poorly written, but I'm only 13 and I love listening to your show and reading your magazine. And I thought it would be fun to send in a community email.
Nice.
It is a
Thank
fun
you.
email.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sending in that's a great email. That's very wholesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be so hard on yourself,
No.
Liam. Keep writing.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's awesome.
All right. Adam C. from Tallahassee, Florida. He says, first off, I had another dream. This is the dream part of our podcast.
Hey, you haven't named the segment yet. You got to name it.
Wait. This is another person with another dream?
That's right. That's why I said this is
Okay.
another email from Adam
All right.
C. from Tallahassee, Florida.
I'm clarifying for my own mental.
Yeah.
here.
No, it's good clarification. So whenever I say somebody's name, that
Mhm.
usually means I'm going on to another.
Right. I didn't know
Got
if you were just reiterating or there's sometimes I have to catch you up a little bit.
Yeah, totally, dude. Makes perfect sense.
All right.
So this is another email, and it's from Adam C. from Tallahassee, Florida. And he says, first off, I had a dream. This is our I Dream of podcast segment. You guys got any better
Perfect.
podcast segments?
Oh, it's a good start.
Names?
We'll roll with it.
Dream on.
Dream on. Yeah. There you go. Dream on. Yeah.
There you go. I dreamed that someone was standing over me wearing a mask while I was sleeping. I started punching straight up into the air. In real life, he says he was punching. And before I realized it, I was out of bed and I was awake. My wife woke up and she asked me what was wrong, but I didn't answer her and I just laid down and went back to sleep.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Psych.
Okay.
Here's my video game character suggestions for the video game character list. Oh, we got characters to rank, everybody.
Ah!
What the hell is this?
What just happened? The
It's time
greatest
for-
twist in podcast history.
It's time for Game Informer's meaningless character rankings. You guys ready for this?
Here we
I don't know what
go.
it is.
We
Sure.
need a theme song, I think, for this, Alex.
Boo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo. Yeah.
Dan,
we'll
you
work on
familiar
it.
with this?
I'm not familiar with this.
Last week we
I know you guys did it
kicked
last
off a
week.
segment. Yeah, we kicked off a segment where we're ranking every character in video games who was ever made, right? And so far we have
Wow.
12 of them. So we're almost done. We're almost there.
I
But
have no words. Okay.
no, you have no words?
I know.
This is
Better
a
find
short
some.
segment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a lot of people writing in saying, hey, you guys got to rank my characters. We are not going to have time to do them all this week. I am saving all those emails. We'll try to get through them as quickly as possible. Maybe we'll do a big segment again here in the coming weeks. But right now, we got to rank this list, guys. We got to rank this list from Adam C.
Okay.
Okay.
And just so you know, Dan, I'm not switching over to another email. This is still the same Adam C.
I just want to make so to be clear, are we discussing his hypnagogic hallucinations and the shadow people that he saw in the evening, or are we just
Not
moving past
important.
that?
We're
If you
ranking
want to, I don't
characters.
think it's
All
important.
right, hey,
Hey.
all good.
So just to set this up for people listening, we have a list of 12 characters right now. It's growing. It's expanding. Top of the list is Ellie from The Last of Us. Bottom of the list is Funky Kong. It's 12 characters. So there's a range there. And the first character that Adam C wants us to rank is Alex Vance.
So these characters go into the existing list.
They will go into the
Yes.
existing list.
I need. Do we have that list posted somewhere? So I have no
man.
like frame of reference here.
You want to see the list? Is what you're saying? That
Well,
seems reasonable.
Yeah, doesn't
Probably
it?
clear.
Yeah. Here for this week, I think I could probably just share this with you guys, right, on Discord.
Yeah.
So check this
Yes.
out, and you know what? I can read it out for the. It's only 12 right now, so it's not too super crazy.
I can see
So
this
number
being
one,
like really difficult when we have the list in really because we're putting these ones into these rankings.
Correct.
Yeah. We're using
Wow.
science though, so it's actually pretty easy. We
Yeah.
just
Okay.
use the science and it makes sense. So number one is Ellie from Last of Us. Number two is Chun-Li from Street Fighter. Number three is Gladys from Portal. Number four is Ganon from Legend of Zelda. Number five is Big Daddy, the Big Daddy himself from Bioshock. Number six, Luigi from Mario Brothers. Number seven is Chibi Robo from the Chibi Robo game. Number eight is Chuck Green from Dead Rising. Number nine is Auron from Final Fantasy X. And then number 10 is Fox McCloud from Star Fox. Number 11, Toad Jackson from Super Mario Brothers. Number 12, Funky Kong from the Donkey Kong franchise. Great.
Okay.
So that is the list as it stands now, but we have to add Alex Vance to that list. What do you guys think?
I'll say that we blew it by allowing 2 Mario Brothers things. We should have done a one character per franchise.
Really? Why?
Well, we already have 2 Portal characters. Get out of here! Oh, that's Half-Life. How embarrassing! Boy,
Get out of here!
Like, what are you talking about?
It's all right. Nobody. It's all good.
I assume you're going to rank her pretty high, considering you don't know what franchise she's
That
from.
memorable character. I loved her contributions to that franchise.
Hey, I thought she was
Great.
pretty cool. And then if you play Half-Life Alex, which came out earlier this year, she's even better. Like, she's a great character. She's funny, charming. She's a good person to hang out with. She seems like a cool person that I would hang out with in real life. Personally.
As good a character as that robot dog.
No, because that's a robot dog. Of course he's better.
Isn't that just named Dog too?
Yeah,
I believe so.
That's great. That's wonderful.
I was being descriptive so you know which dog I was talking about.
You're the man. I think she's in the Chuck Green tier, right? I would say like I would say Gladys from the same game is higher up on the list, I would say, right? I don't know if she quite
From the same game.
gets the
I can see
I was
that.
taking
I
a
think she's
lame shot at Cork. It's fine.
It's just a larger universe.
I can't
that's
keep up.
related.
Yeah. We're falling off the rails
think
again.
she's above Chuck Green. Personally,
Mm-hmm.
anybody else have any thoughts?
I still need to play Half-Life Alex. I really liked her in
I haven't
2.
played
and-
Alex.
Question.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How about we do this? Go through the nominees from a reader. We pick one, and then that one makes the list, rather than someone gives 3 and then we have to throw them in there because there's gonna be some real garbage. Not to say that Alex Vance is garbage, but I think that it's good because it lets us show a little discretion on our own part, and also
Well,
the list isn't going to get ridiculously long.
No, that's the point. Is it's supposed to be a giant list?
I like making it giant with our contributions because I'm greedy and selfish. And we
What,
just
what
give.
character would you want to add? You got to add 3 last week.
Well, I want to hear what the other from this person are.
Okay. Well,
the-
I'm fighting Alex Vance in at number 8 right now. So
Okay.
if you object to that,
Okay.
Who's
let me
Go
know.
nuts.
who's 9 and 7?
So you guys want me to read them all first and then we'll rank them? Because I think it's more fun to read each one individually, personally.
I think it would be exhausting if we had to do them all at once. This is already complicated enough with the.
Yeah, this is
Existing
going to turn
list.
into a nightmare.
It's science, baby.
Yeah.
Number
you gotta
2,
warn us ahead of time so we can say we're busy when you're going to do these.
Kratos from God of War.
Never heard of him.
You guys don't know this guy?
Yeah,
No. Which
I've heard of
version
it.
of Kratos?
I was
I
gonna
think you got to look at it
Like the
all
whole
from across
thing.
the board. He's like one
God
character,
of War Kratos is different from God of War Kratos.
Yeah, the new
If you
God
get
of
right
War
down to
Kratos,
it. Yeah.
way better.
we get to count them in all of their forms, right? Any way we want for this.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing.
PlayStation All Stars.
Yep.
PlayStation.
So-
he was great in that.
Kratos.
He definitely came of his own with the 2018 release. I think we can all
Yeah.
agree on that. He became, it was great to see him as a dad. He's definitely my big daddy, right? And so that's why I think
Oh.
he goes right up next to Big Daddy from Bioshock.
Which was Big Daddy was what, number 4?
Number 4.
Yeah,
or
he-
number 5 is Big
he's,
Daddy.
he's got a lot of unforgivable baggage like actual like disgusting things he's done, and then just some not great character beats early on. So I'm good with that. New Kratos is amazing, but
you can count him as new Kratos.
Yeah.
You can
but
do
like
whatever
I feel like
want
you have to look at the whole spectrum.
Well,
So.
think like on the plus side, you have like Kratos costume for Sackboy, Little Big Planet, right? Is that canonically Kratos? I don't know.
Next
You
time
tell
we get
me.
Corey Balrog on there, we'll ask him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Is it see right above Big Daddy or below Big Daddy?
I put him up there number 1, probably. That list.
Really?
Yeah, why
Above
not?
Ellie.
Sure.
Okay. Why?
Because he's bad.
Even with all the baggage.
The baggage makes him a character. If he was a bad without any baggage, he'd be very uninteresting.
I was gonna say you might want to play some more Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
If we're worried
like
about
this baggage
baggage.
too, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, yeah, I probably would put him above Chun-Li personally, but
Like, I love Ganon. Ganon is a bad guy.
Mhm.
That's what he does, right? We're talking about. How are we grading these characters? I'm just
Well,
like, pick,
It's
That's
it's
not
science.
important,
It's
Fantastic.
science. We said it
It's
was
science.
science.
you look
okay,
at
so
the science.
scientifically, I like him a lot, so I think he should be up high. There you go.
Yeah, that does
Done.
make sense.
So right between Toad Jackson and Funky Kong. is what you're saying.
If you want to put him there, honestly, this list, I'm willing to. I'm participating, but I don't really care where things end up. I'm gonna give you my thoughts.
Yeah.
You can slot him wherever you like, and I'll sleep like a baby.
I want
I don't know
I
how
want
you
you to have dreams where you're punching the air from this
Yeah,
list.
come on,
That's what
man.
I want.
This is so exciting. Kratos, man. Anybody object to him being number one?
I
I have any strong thoughts about it.
Go ahead and object. That's what we're here for.
Alex?
I don't know. I love God. If we're looking in a vacuum at just the first one, I'd probably agree. But he's in some not great games towards the end of that first run. I'd say
He just doesn't have any personality other than
Yeah.
oh, he's an angry guy. Yeah,
I-
and then he added.
I'm looking at this list. Not a lot of them have a lot of personality.
I would be
What if I propose below Ellie, above Chun-Li, in the number 2 spot.
I'd say 2 or 3 I'd be fine with. I wouldn't have scary dreams from that.
Number 2 it is then.
All right,
There it is.
we did
Unanimous.
Yeah.
Votes
Number
unanimous.
3. Number 3 on the list, guys. Solid Snake.
Oh, I bet we're gonna have a lot of advocates here. I just put him like, whatever. Let's put him at like after. Man, how was Luigi so low? I don't know what happened with him.
Science, dude.
I understand this is science. I was not here when that science was made. Okay.
I thought you should have been higher too.
Snake. I'd say put Snake in like number 4, number 5.
So above Gladys from Portal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I put personally, I'd put him right below GLaDOS, but I don't care. We're splitting hairs here.
See, yeah, I don't. Not to dunk on Chun-Li, but yeah, I'd probably put him above Chun-Li, right below Kratos, at the number 3.
I
knew he was going to be a hot one here.
I am abstaining from this one because I'm not a Metal Gear guy. I understand his significance though, and
I'm not a Metal Gear guy either. I'm participating. These are characters.
I guess I've only played like half of one though. Just trying to be fair.
All right. You know what? I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so what are you proposing then, Dan Tack, Jeff Cork?
After GLaDOS or before GLaDOS?
Cork, you look like
what?
you're
I'm
staring
comfortable
into
with
the abyss.
Cork is thinking. He's doing the science.
I'm thinking, how do you fake that you got disconnected? Because if I reach over, you'll see my
Yes.
arm.
He's making a science right now, guys.
Hey man,
Yeah.
I like this
Yeah.
segment.
All right, I'm gonna go with Dan Tack's suggestion above Gladys at the number 4 suggestion. Basically,
Okay.
Right. It's now 4 because
it's now
Kratos
4
got it.
because yeah. So I'm not gonna read them all off, but the new list would stand number 1 Ellie from The Last of Us, 2 Kratos, 3 Chun-Li, 4 Snake, 5 Gladys,
Mhm.
6 Ganon, 7 Big Daddy, 8 Luigi, 9 Chibi Robo, and 10 Alex Vance. So that's our top 10.
Okay.
That's a pretty good top 10.
So Funky Kong not one still.
Funky Kong is not. He's number 1 with a 5 after it. He's number 15.
Okay. I can dig it.
Hey, Guys, that was fun.
I like that
I
list.
don't think
This
that's
segment
fun.
is a thing.
Yeah.
I will say that.
I think Jeff Quirk's having the most fun.
Yeah,
I'm a little jealous of his fun, but
that whole letter was just followed dream logic, where it's just like, here's this thing you think is going, and then just out of nowhere, we're doing that. Like
that whole
Hey.
letter was a dream.
you never
Sure.
know.
You never know.
You never know when you gotta do character rankings is the thing.
It's
They
true.
could come anywhere, and
Gonna
we
pop up.
have to abide by the laws of science.
Mhm.
Keep sending
There
them
it
in.
is. Keep
Yeah.
sending in your list. Like I said, we have a few, so we'll do more here in the future. Podcast@GameInformer.com if you want to send yours in, and then maybe once the list gets to a certain size, we can post it online or something.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun.
I agree. We'll work out Cork's connection issues so he's right as rain next time.
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we don't want to lose you, dude. All that insight.
I wouldn't dream of it.
Last email, guys. One
Okay.
last
What?
email from
Here we go.
Jose Lewis Gray. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. He says, "Howdy, GI. I have an idea for a game inspired by Super Fight. Do you guys know what Super Fight is?
Is it a card game?
I have no idea. I hoped somebody else would know.
I don't know. I think it rings a bell.
All right, great. Ding, ding, ding. Start of the fight. Let's put two characters into a situation and argue about who would do best at it. Example, here's the situation. We're actually going to do this one. I think it's good. The situation is taking...
What was the point of reading the letter?
Wait, no, don't tell us how to do it. We're just going to do it. Whoa!
Oh, and here's the answer. Oh, wait, never mind. No, here we go. Situation, taking drive-through orders at the McDonald's. So who is going to be better at this? The characters in this bout are Link from Legend of Zelda versus Shulk from... What game is that he's in? Not Valkyria.
Xenoblade
Xenoblade
Chronicles.
That's right.
Well, taking orders, like, does that involve interaction? Because Link loses immediately because he's incommunicado.
I think we're assuming that this would create from the beginning of the order to the end of the order with the user getting their food, correct?
Yeah, he gets
the entire process.
Canned because someone's like, you should have said thank you.
Yeah. He'd be a good listener, though.
Yeah, this one's slam dunk for me. But
what's your guys' order at McDonald's?
McDonald's?
2 double quarter pounders with cheese, Big Mac sauce, 40 McNuggets, 5 breakfast burritos, and
then a stretcher to the hospital.
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. Thank you, Cork.
Yep.
You got it.
Yeah.
I'm good. I
was serious too. No, after that, you take a nap. It's all good.
There you go. That was our role play of what it would be like to order from Link.
I do have an answer for this question, by the way.
Shulk has like a fun British accent or something, doesn't he?
Shulk has the Monado, okay? So he would easily win this.
Is that a sword?
It can kill gods, so I'm pretty sure it can cook burgers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would be the best at this thing. Like, you can literally... That thing is... I don't know if you played Xenoblade Chronicles, but you just blow things away with that sword, and he's very fast. Way faster than Link could ever be. In fact, he can stop time, sort of, to a respect, by he can predict the future with the Monado. So he'd know the orders were coming in before they came in.
Prep him. That's
so he gets like a time flash. He's like, oh, the next guy in line is going to order a Big Mac, a fry, and a quarter pounder. He's already got it ready to go. So he wins by default. Like, Link has nothing like that.
There's no question about it.
I think he wins because he can speak.
That's a big thing too.
That helps. That helps a lot.
Yeah, well, when you're taking drive-through orders at McDonald's, although I'm pretty sure I have gone through drive-throughs where the person on the other end does not speak. So
sometimes that's nice though. Sometimes I don't want people asking me how my day is. My day is fine. I just want my cheesy gordita crunch, please.
You at least want them to acknowledge the fact that you were near the speaker, though.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
You hear the warble. That's a 20-piece McNugget and 50.
I mean, you're just gonna get
Also, are you okay in there? Do you need some help?
All right, I'm fascinated by what the canonical answer was for this.
Does he have an answer?
They provided one.
No.
It's our answer. He didn't give a canonical answer.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Ours is the correct. All right. One more situation. Chaperoning their kids to prom. So who's going to do a better job at this? The people in this bout are Barrett from Final Fantasy and our favorite Big Daddy himself, Kratos from God of War.
Kratos.
Who's gonna do a better job chaperoning their kid to prom?
Here's a
I mean,
question:
Kratos.
Are we? Is it better for the kid or for the dad? Those are two very different things.
Oh,
Because
I think we are assuming that the term chaperone. We're assuming that it would be for the parent in this case. They want to make sure that the kid has a safe time at the engagement. I would assume a safe and family friendly time.
I see.
I think in both situations the kids are having a bad time.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Imagine walking up to proms and boy just walks up and chops his head off if he gets too handsy. Boy.
Whose
Do
hands
not-
is he chopping off?
do not
His
be
own
sorry.
kids?
Whose hands is
No,
chopped off?
the potential prom date.
Oh, you're saying Atreus's prom date is getting a little handsy?
Yeah. Say no, thank you. Oh
Boy.
boy.
Sit. Dance.
Have fun, but not too much fun.
I think Barrett would show up and they'd be like, "Oh, excuse me, sir, you can't bring that gun arm into this school."
Wouldn't be able to make it through security. I guess both of them have weapons that are attached to them at all
Kratos
times.
just kills security and causes an international incident, most
Yeah.
likely. So, that's a problem too.
Prom over. So
Yeah.
does Barrett then win by default since prom goes on?
I was thinking that Kratos is such a hard ass that he wouldn't even let anybody go to prom, so he would win by default in the scenario.
We do not have time for dancing.
There's no need to chaperone. You have the ultimate chaperone when your child doesn't actually go.
It's
You don't have to
true.
worry about anything.
Yeah.
And he would definitely just lay his foot down. You're right. Barrett would probably the police would be involved, most likely.
Barrett could be reasoned with.
Right.
I feel like Kratos would just if he doesn't like you, you're going down. type of
Right.
thing.
I just don't even think they'd go. He'd be like, yo, whatever. We're just gonna go kill some dark elves instead. Peace.
So Barrett.
So the winner is Kratos. And Barrett.
I think the
I've
winner's the
lost.
GI audience. That's
I
what
think so. I think
Those are big winners.
I would go with Barrett as long as he can take his gun arm off. If he can't, then no, he's not going in that
Yeah.
school.
Could he bring in the sword arm? Is that possible?
No, I don't think you can bring a giant sword into a school. I mean, it's been a while since
I
I've
haven't been there in a
attended
while.
one,
Yeah.
but
Fair.
all right,
That's a fair point.
we'll call it a draw. But yeah, that was a super fun game. Super fight. Although he says, I have no idea what this game is called. Game on. Wait.
Game
That's my
on. That's the
line.
name now. Game
Yeah.
on.
Wait a
Game
minute.
On is the name of the game.
All right. If you
Love it.
have more suggestions for Super Fight Game On, please send them in at podcast@gamereformer.com. And now we've reached at the point of our show where we recommend some things to you. We get wrecked ourselves, as I like to say.
Get wrecked.
Get wrecked. Alex,
Yes.
you want to wreck yourself? What's
I'm
going on?
Let's wreck it. So I'm actually gonna plug something I did a while ago that I thought deserved a little bit more love. And we did an Animal Crossing island tour for everyone, or a lot of people in the office who are really into Animal Crossing. And it's just a lot of fun. And it's an upbeat video. It's not super long. It's one of my favorite things I've done at GI, and I think everyone had a really good time with it. And if you need some lighthearted fun, that's a good one to go check out. So, and Animal Crossing continues to update. It's always going to be relevant. Our islands are always going to be cool. Besides Shay's, I hope Shay's is better.
Great. Dan Tack, wreck yourself.
Yeah, sure. I think you can check out the definitive ranking of the Dark Souls games that I've got on the website. People have been asking me about all the time. I get so many emails saying, what's your ranking of the Souls games? More specifically, the From Software action RPG suite. So if you want to see them and get real mad, check it out. It's on the site. And that's the definitive list. All right. So you cannot oppose it. It's 100% correct.
Where does Hellboy rank or Hellpoint rank on that?
Hellpoint is I only graded the From games. I will one day do the Souls likes that other companies have made, but I don't have a ranking for those this time.
Jeff Cork?
Yes, sir. Oh, we announced what the next cover story is a couple days ago. It's Watch Dogs Legion. And kind of with that in mind, you can watch a new gameplay today Leo and I recorded, showing a bunch of Watch Dogs Legion stuff. We have 2 of them. So lots and lots of footage and crazy stuff. So there you go.
Well, it's good to hear that Leo's back working for us.
I was really worried where he was for a while. No one was saying
Yeah.
anything.
But yeah, that's good. It's cool to. You liked the game too, right? We had talked about
Yeah.
it quite a bit when we did the
Yeah.
talk after the event, but like you had a little bit more access.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It is super fun. And I was gonna say that's all I have to say about it, but you read the cover story. There's a lot more to say about it.
There's a lot more, and
Yeah.
you don't need to say it. You can read it.
I won't.
The new issue is out, like you said. I was going to recommend at the end of the issue. I have a couple things in there. I have an Assassin's Creed feature, which we also talked about a few weeks ago. But you can read more details on Assassin's Creed if you want. At the end of the book, the game over section, I did a feature in there called "Who's That Good Boy?" It's basically matching pictures of dogs to the game that they're in, which is kind of fun. So
I love it.
Video game dogs, check it out. It's fun. It's in the magazine. I put little spoiler, little cheat sheet for you. D Dog, he's number D. That's where you link him up.
Like
That's
it.
my little inside joke for you.
I need that cheat sheet too, because otherwise I might get a little rough.
And that's our show, everybody.
Get
Thanks
it?
for watching. That's all the time we have, unfortunately. Please like, subscribe, and subscribe to the magazine. And stay tuned. Until next week, we'll have another show for you. Till then, game on.